Hello everyone. This is not your mother's April Fool's joke. This is the Anime4ALL podcast.
Interesting way to open everything up.
I mean, it's April 1st. Why not?
Yeah.
Um, I am the host of Game Hunter with Spirit Magic Helmet. As you
Yeah.
heard me say earlier, yeah, this is April Fool's. Not the podcast. Just today is the day that people like to preload the internet with jokes. I saw a lot of them today, actually. A lot of them. But we are here as no joke to review Rurouni Kenshin episode 22. Uh, Resurrection of the Wolf. Um, I know last time I made mention of like as a character I'm looking forward to. I forgot this character sometime. I didn't really forget, more like the character in this episode, like the wolf they're referring to, Saito Hajime. Um, Thought more about him was like I remember liking this guy a little bit later on in the show when he shows up more. But I will say that the animation for him is really good. He's like, I would say he is as quick or maybe even quicker than Kenshin right now. Um, he is scarily strong, I noticed. I'm not sure how you really felt about him, but I guess as we get further in the episode here, we'll talk more about that. Um,
Who is scarily strong?
Hajime Saito. The guy that goes by Goro Fujita.
Yeah. He I don't know if you want me to bring it up now, but he actually is a historical figure and went at he was later known as Goro Fujita and worked as a police officer just like in the show.
Oh my god. Well, we'll hold off on that lesson for history. I was kind of wondering as I was watching it, but I was like, maybe they made him up too. But okay, we'll hold off on the history lesson for a few minutes. Uh, I'm glad you told me that because I was not aware that he was a historical figure or based off of one.
Yeah.
Thank you for that history lesson.
No problem.
Oh shoot! Wait a minute. I wait. What? Oh no! I thought the next episode was the last episode for the show. Never mind. I'm like 2 episodes off. Also for
It's
early.
probably the last it's probably the last protagonist though, right?
I mean, for the season 1, I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
I mean antagonist for the season, yeah.
But I want to bring this up too early on in the podcast because I'm gonna forget to bring this up later. There's gonna be a break in the podcast. Granted, you guys won't notice it because of how I've been releasing the podcast episodes. It's always a week off. So I mean, you'll be hearing me say this, but the people who are here live, there won't be one next Monday. Co-host will not be here. He'll be on a vacation. Vacation, as I put in air quotes. So there won't be any for next week. But as we continue here, pretty much, I guess we can just say the episode 22 begins with a flashback of Kenshin fighting the Shinigumi. Hold up, Shinsengumi, I think it's the Shinsengumi. A police force or swordsman group that I guess we saw a little bit of at the very beginning of the season, which is kind of cool that we're getting a full circle story with them. Kitchen apparently he has a memory of the quote unquote good old days when he was the manslayer. We see him fighting a who appears to be a really skilled swordsman, and they clash, which leads to Kenshin. We're all, this is like past Kenshin, so when they clash, we get booted to present Kenshin, and Kaoru and Yahiko are trying to get his attention. And he's like dreaming. He's still like in a dazed state. And then Kaoru's like, you're the only Kenshin here, as they drag him off, and he's like, Oru. It's like when I was first watching that, and I was kind of thinking, it took me a minute to kind of think this through. But when Kaoru says that, you're the only one with that name or whatever like that, it kind of made me wonder. I wonder if Kenshin was still stuck mentally being known as the manslayer at that moment when he was like kind of dazed off. I figured I would bring that up, just as like I know you like to think, you like to like I guess think about small details, and I feel like that's a small enough detail that would maybe get skipped over. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the case. He was probably still just dazed from being from waking up from that dream. that apparently he hasn't had in years. Which I thought was interesting.
Shows character development that he was so upset about it.
I don't think he was more upset that he was having the dream versus like the dream itself. Because apparently he hasn't thought about those days in years. Apparently, as he brings up as he's talking with Cairo and Yakuza are walking to the bridge, he brings up like, you know, what it was like during that day, Shitsungumi. Cairo even brings up that she is shocked that he's even talking about it because he doesn't really talk about his past that much, which is gives him more concern and pause. Uh, it's like, huh, I wonder why. He actually spends the good majority of the episode wondering why he
Had
has
the
this
dream.
dream in the first place, and it's like really bothering him. Um, then we go over to our main man Sanosuke at the dojo, and he's trying to score some free food. And he's like, man, I wonder where they all went. I was hoping to get some free food. And then a gentleman walks into the dojo gate, like wondering where he like apparently I think it was as you have right here, he was trying to like quote unquote sell a wonder drug for healing bones and anything else that I guess any other ailments a person could have. Uh Sonosuke kind of susses him
So can
out,
I throw something out there?
being my guest.
He okay. Oh, never mind.
Hmm?
Never mind. I thought he really did that as cover, but it's not true. There's a section in his article on Wikipedia that talks about his role in Kenshin.
I mean, yeah, he was trying to use as cover. I mean, he was hoping that Sonosuke wasn't gonna suss him out, which he did anyway. Because Sonosuke actually apparently catches on that you know he's got like calluses on his arm, on his hand, from using a bamboo sword. So Sonosuke like calls him out on that one, and apparently he before actually this he kind of brings up that you know he kind of calls him kind of creepy because he says your eyes are kind of narrow, like really narrow. Pretty much saying that I was born this way. I just after Sonosuke susses him out as not really being who he says he is, which is I guess a courier of medicine and whatnot. He actually opens his eyes and it causes Sanosuke to jump back and let go of his arm as a reflex, I'm guessing. Pretty much like he calls himself Guru Fujita here, and I guess I think he compliments Sanosuke on like noticing like I guess being quick with the backing up after he realizes who he was, and pretty much pulls a sword that is hidden on his back, and pulls it straight up. Actually, it's actually interesting how his method of unsheathing his sword, and prepares himself in a stance with his sword in his left hand and his right hand over the tip of the sword, almost like in a jousting position. Um, Sonosuke pretty much says like, "Oh, I'm ready for a fight." Punches him in the face, sends him back flying a little bit with the dust flying. Sonosuke thinks he wins and only realizes he didn't when he hears him talking about essentially he comments on his strength, but he's saying that the punch he gave him it means well you know it's really good for the time period that we're in right now. But back in another time period, it would be considered really weak. And then he jumps right at him with the sword stance, and we cut away. I think back to Kenshin still wondering like about the dream he had. I think it's like whoever this guy is really interesting. I will say, like from what I remember a little bit about him, he's intriguing. I will let you be the real decider of that though. He is strange. I guess this is the best way to put it. Um, his role is probably kind of weird. Really quick. Do something really quick. Oh yeah, we cut back to Karu and Yohiko's still walking. I probably they're closer to home, but the sun is like further down. Kenshin is like walking really slowly. Karu's like wondering what's going on with Kenshin. And then Megumi shows up. saying that, and Kara was like wondering why she here. She calls her a vixen again. That was kind of like a fun little calm before the storm a little bit. She shows up, she's saying she has like 2 days off, so she thought she'd come and hang out with those guys. Um, Gets Yahiko on her side by saying she'll cook, and he's like, "Come on, Karo, don't be so immature." As he's like, choosing Megumi, and Karo just says like, you picked her side." I was like, I was kind of feeling kind of bad. I was like, wow, she kind of feels a little bit betrayed. Like if she can't win with Megumi around, for whatever that's worth.
I like when they come home and they see a giant hole in their wall.
But yeah, when they get back home and then like wondering what's Kenshin's like, what's going on, he rushes right for the door.
How many times has there been a gigantic ass hole in the wall for them? They must have like a really good relationship with some contractor somewhere that comes and repeatedly fixes their wall.
Maybe it's Yahiko and Kenshin that fixes the wall. I don't know. I mean, he does live there. I just realized this little small detail that I guess I should have caught on this earlier. I don't know why I didn't catch on this earlier, but like Megumi's eye color and Karo's eye color match their kimono. It's like a purposeful like matching of color. I noticed just now.
That's interesting.
Not that it really matters. Not that it really matters. It's just something I just noticed just now that I probably should have caught on earlier.
Seriously though, who fixes their walls so fast and seamlessly?
It's an anime, Jock. I don't think we really need to focus on that little small detail as much as you want to.
It's just every like third episode, there's a cannon blasts a hole in it, or someone like comes crashing through, or
maybe we'll find out at some point. I don't know. I always figured that maybe, I mean, as it was just a show, they didn't really have to explain any of that. But I mean, people live closer together at this time period either. So maybe she does know a contractor. I wonder what contractors even exist at this time period, actually. But speaking of the hole in the wall, they see this hole in the wall. Kenshin gets kind of concerned. He rushes for the door, and he opens the door. He sees Sanosuke on the ground with the broken tip of the sword in his shoulder. This is a continuation of what we saw last time with his name at the time being called Fujita. I almost want to call him Fajita. Sorry.
Or Goku.
No, just fajita is like a slang term for taco. I thought about Vegeta, but I thought that was too on the nose. But he sees the soil in his shoulder from that fight. They're all concerned. They rush to the side. Megumi pretty much tries to tend to his wound. Sanosuke is pretty much probably in the worst spot he's been in a while at this point, which is shocking everybody. Which I guess would probably push the whole Megumi maybe liking Sanosuke in that way. But then again, she's just a doctor and she doesn't want to see anybody die. And he had a hand in her redemption a little bit too. So she feels a little bit indebted to him.
Yeah, Megumi watches over him for 3 days.
Before any of that, though, after like that whole finding Sanosuke on the ground with the whole that Spear mentioned earlier about whatever contracting service they're using, we come back to Goro Fujita and he's having dinner with, I guess, his employer, who apparently knows who Kenshin is and is another. There must be some hazard pay in knowing Kenshin at this point, because I'm telling you right now. There's gotta be some like hazard pay for being within a proximity of Kenshin, because people get hurt a lot around him. But pretty much the guy's talking to his employer. They have this conversation. There's one guy behind him. His name was Akuma Taro, I think. The guy with the stitches in his mouth.
His name is Arundo Akamatsu.
This is one guy in the background who's giving pretty I'm just gonna call him freaking Hajime Saito because that's just the name I know him by. Looking at Hajime Saito, like, why are you here? The employer offers Hajime some sake. He turns it down, not because he has a low tolerance. It's the fact when he gets drunk, he becomes violent.
You know what's interesting is his the real life version of him, his death was connected to heavy drinking.
Oh dear God.
Yeah, he apparently he contributed. His heavy drinking was believed to have contributed to his death from a stomach ulcer.
Oh dear. Hmm.
So it's interesting that they brought up the drinking because it was something that was like a curse for him.
He turns down the drink, and then I guess they, another thing too is like, another thing with this show I really do love, and I really appreciate it here with this character too, because like they don't really do this a lot with other characters besides Kenshin. The way the eyes are just drawn is amazing. It shows so much intent from these characters.
Yeah.
It is scary with this man when he opens his eyes. He looks so docile when his eyes are closed, and then he opens them, and he's got this sharp, piercing gaze that like looks like it's piercing your soul. But yeah, this show does a good job with that. I really love that. Like that's an interesting transition from when his eyes are open. But yeah, he gets the excessive he gets the excessive urge to kill people. I'm actually kind of curious. Like, did he find this out recently that when he gets drunk he gets violent? He's like, oh man, I must have had like he wakes up from a drunken stupor like the next day before. He's like, man, I had fun. He wakes up. He's like, huh, what's this? That's blood. Is there blood on the wall? What in the? Is there blood on the wall? And he looks over. He sees whoever he was drinking with his dead body in the corner. He's like, oh, that's right. I was having sake with that gentleman. Oh no, I got a problem. But really quick here. The employer laughs. Seems like that's the most reassuring, which is kind of creepy. They cut to the chase about like why he was hired. You know, he was hired to fight Himura Batsusai Kenshin. He tells him that he wasn't there when he went to go and check on the dojo.
Who wasn't there?
When he went to dojo, he was looking for Kenshin. He wasn't there.
Yeah.
He tells that to an employer, and then he leaves.
To back up a little bit, remember the Shinsegumi had been feared as the wolves of Mibu? In that moment out when Saito like gives himself up?
Mm-hmm.
The wolves of Mibu are a real thing in history too.
You got the floor.
In 1863, Hijikata and Kondo Izami joined the Roshigumi, or the Shinshigumi, in Edo. They arrived in Kyoto and remained there as Mibu Roshigumi while the rest returned to Edo. Later, when the Mibu Roshigumi was renamed as the Shinshigumi, Kondo and the other men, Saiza Kamo and Nini Nishiki, became joint leaders of the group, and Hijikata served as one of the deputy leaders. Shinshigumi served as a special police force in Kyoto that fought against the reformists under Matsudaira Katamori, the Daimyo of Aizu. However, Serizawa and Nimi began fighting, drinking, and extorting money from merchants in Kyoto, which started to tarnish the reputation of the Shinshigumi, and as a result, they were given the derogatory nickname of the Wolves of Mibu. So it was a derogatory term, not like a good one to show that they were feared. It was more of like showing that they're disrespectful.
I guess on the whole Shinshigumi thing, I guess I skipped over this too. When Kenshin is talking about his past with Kairo and Yahiko, he brings up that like the Shinshigumi, while as what Spear had mentioned about their nature, they kind of bring up like attacking people in a 4-on-1 was kind of dishonorable or whatever. But Kenshin brings the fact that like some of the Shinshigumi were like really strong on their own. Like, each one of them were like at least the captains that he knew of were really strong. And every time he would come in contact with and fight with them, he never could settle a score with any of them. They were all skilled enough for that to happen. So that kind of also kind of gives a little bit more, you know, like reasoning for that unwieldy strength that Hajime Saito is you know, like displaying, which is kind of scary in its own right too. He kind of gives off the presence of a wolf too when you look at him. His eyes kind of remind you of a wolf when he looks at you. As he's as after the whole, I guess, chat with him about like how battle side and you know the him, he's, you know, recognizing that he's a target, and he's taking his time. He doesn't seem to care that much about finding him yet and fighting him yet. Uh, that other guy who apparently find out later on, I think it's Akumataro. I keep on calling him Kumataro. What do you call him again?
Are you talking about Akamatsu?
Akamatsu. The other guy, Akamatsu, apparently find out he's supposed to be the one fighting Kenshin, but apparently some other, like, I guess somebody else decided to go over his head and make Hajime the one that's going to go after Kenshin. It makes it really clear later in the episode about how he doesn't like him as Hajime is having lunch. I guess another thing too is apparently Hajime is like living his life in retirement right now, but he wants to live it fighting people, I'm guessing. And probably he lives pretty cheaply, even though he might actually have a lot of money to his name, I'm guessing. I'm not sure like what type of retirement Shinsengumi gives people, but I mean, whatever it is, it sounds like he's living cheaply, but he may not have to. Who really knows? He rather, what he goes to, he rather get a small sum for a job versus a big sum. Some like he's not that money obsessed like other people. I guess another parallel to Kenshin too is like, you know, the Kenshin doesn't really take money from anybody. He's kind of living rent free. So maybe not that much like each other actually. I'm actually thinking about it. You laugh, but I was trying to think and I realized, maybe it's the best comparison to make. After the dinner with his employer, he walks off. Apparently, we found out that he's known as the strongest of the Shinsengumi. Is that correct in his real life person, or the real life person he's based off of?
The real life person is what?
That he's based off of? Is that true that he was the strongest of the Shinsengumi?
I don't know that they go that far with it. I'll look really quick to see.
You just heard a bug go into your bugs, like your bug lamp. This is the time of the year again.
I don't have a bug lamp.
Oh.
I used to.
He used to have a bug lamp until he took an arrow to the knee.
It didn't help. The bug lamp, it killed bugs, but it didn't really like control them.
Okay, no, that's. I thought when I said he took an arrow to the knee, it didn't help.
It wasn't a helpful arrow. No, I don't think he had any like fame as being like the
okay, so
or anything like that.
That's just for the character. Okay, just want to make sure. He walks off. We probably find out he's the strongest of the Shinsengumi, which I mean he's kind of already shown. Also, we also find out too that Jin from earlier in the show, and I think was it just Jin that he sent out to Kenshin? I guess that's it. He just sent Jin after him. When Jin couldn't defeat the Batosai, you know, I guess he sent and looked out for this guy to see if he couldn't fight him. I think he's just using him for the fact that, you know, Hajime wants to settle a score with him, and he really wants to. But before later on that he doesn't really care that much about him, you know, Kenshin. I guess he just wants to fight him for some reason. But sending him messages like putting a sword in his best friend's shoulder. Then we cut away back to Sanosuke.
I don't think that I guess he is kind of his best friend, huh?
I mean, I don't see anybody else.
I don't think I wouldn't count Yahiko. Yeah, I guess that's his best friend. I never really thought about it.
I mean, right now, there's nobody else.
Yahiko's more like his mentee.
I
So
wouldn't go that far with Yahiko because I don't think he's willing to teach him anything.
Well, what's his relationship to Yahiko then? Second best friend?
I don't know. I guess I go with mentee. I just don't think Kenshin has the intention of teaching him anything.
Well, he brought him. He lets him join like into risky situations sometimes.
Okay, I guess he can claim mentee then. I mean,
he gets a little tough love on him sometimes, you know.
maybe little brother.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we come back to Megumi still like tending to his wound. Apparently, at this point, it hasn't changed any. Meanwhile, Kenshin is like brooding in the dark in the dojo where the fight happened, looking through the hole in the wall, thinking that there's only one person that could have done this. He's trying to think of any other person that could have, you know, come into the dojo and hurt Sanosuke. He takes a look at the box that apparently Hajime had left behind and didn't realize he did this until we've seen this scene. And apparently Kenshin brings up the fact that Shinsengumi used this symbol when they were undercover. Gives him more, you know, pause to think that it's who he thinks it is. Does he actually name him? I'm actually kind of curious if he names him. We just can't be. And then it's 3 days later. But apparently Kenshin's been inside that room in the meditation pose for 3 days. So we come back and Kairo comes in to take over watch of Sanosuke while Megumi goes to take a shower.
A bath, not a shower.
Wait.
They don't have showers in this period, do they?
Wait. Sorry. Sorry. I think I may have misspoke. 1 minute. I gotta I'm trying to rewind real quick. Okay, yeah, long bath. Sorry, I misspoke. They go over like how's he doing, so there's no change, and then Kairo brings up the fact that Kenshin has been sitting in the same room for 3 days apparently. He's got to stink real bad. And as usual, Kairo is really worried, but I mean, guess who wouldn't be? Just sitting there looking at the hole in the wall. It's like, we're thinking of the property damage.
He's reading a lot of things into what's going on there, right?
I mean, he says that symbol is what the Shinsengumi use. 1 minute, let me just back up to his words. Was one Shinsengumi spies often use as a disguise. So yeah, he sees that this symbol on that box that was left behind as a Shinsengumi symbol, and he sees the symbol as like proof there's somebody from that group. And the blade apparently also recognizes two, apparently, at least the tip of it. And he saw how the sword tip pierced parallel to the ground. Yeah, which is interesting. He was able to see that it pierced him parallel to the ground, actually. Huh. What?
Sorry, I was drinking water. Oh. He's a very, like, CSI kind of moment when he's, like reverse engineering everything that happened.
Yeah, he says it's a sign of the Hirazuki, a technique unique to the Shinsengumi members. He knows what technique was used, which is even crazier. I guess he's also a swordsman, so I guess he wouldn't know. And then he points out that apparently the destructive power belongs to none other than single left hand Hirazuki.
Yeah, this all stuff. It's just interesting too because remember when I said Megumi watched over can't think of the name. Who did Megumi watch over? Sanosuke. Megumi watched over Sanosuke for 3 days, but it looks like Kenshin sat there for 3 days. Like reverse engineering what was going on and meditating about it. And it built on his like distracted feelings from the dream and everything. So everything's piling on him. So this guy, I wouldn't say he has him scared, but he definitely has him preoccupied.
Well, I mean, he brought this Shinsengumi where like they were no slouch. Apparently, he never was able to, settle a dispute with them. And it even brings up too, as he's like thinking, as he's trying to figure out what's going on and who it was. He says like, does he think when he's positive that he knows who it is, does he think he can like defend everybody with his refusal to kill? He brings that up actually as we were like, he's like they're sitting there thinking. Which is like, it's interesting that he brings it up. Is like, does he think he can like do this without killing anybody? We see the fight as he's thinking. We see the fight between Saito and Sanosuke. The art is actually kind of interesting too. It's very it's very, very exaggerated because we see the speed at which he's using the technique. You see that it stabs Sanosuke's arm and it catches him off guard, and not only does it do that, it takes Sanosuke off his feet, sends him barreling through the wall, along with the guy with the sword still being held, and he jumps over him as Sanosuke hits the ground and stands right behind him. Yeah, like Sanosuke like cannot like stand up to this technique, and apparently I guess the sword couldn't withstand the technique either because it breaks.
I thought he might have left that broken piece there on purpose.
I don't know. It seems kind of. I feel like
he says he left hints and like there. And wouldn't it be great to mess with like Kenshin by like leaving the tip of the sword in there?
I don't know. The sword kind of looked like it broke easily though. Like,
it was a flimsy ass police sword.
I can't.
Well, we're not talking about
fight you there. I can't fight you there.
Yeah.
It's just. It's just that. I'm sorry. It's just. It's a flimsy asshole. What do you expect? It's a toothpick. Like, I can't argue there, but still, I probably wants to. Like,
it wasn't exactly Cloud Sword from Final Fantasy. That's all I'm saying.
I wonder if he could use that sword to do that. Never mind. That's a cross fantasy thing I don't want to think about right now. But as he's thinking about all of that, and then we come back to Hajime Saito as he's at the restaurant, I guess having lunch. Let me look his name up again. Actually, I can find his name here. Like, the guy who has a problem with him shows up at his at the diner, trying to pick a fight with him, saying like, "Why is it that why did they go over my head to choose you?" He doesn't like him, as we already know. Trying to pick up some details here really quick. Yakamatsu's his name. Yakamatsu does not like Saito, as we already know. One minute, just wanna. As this is going on, he's like wondering why he picked him for this job, or like why he wants to fight him. Then Saito says like, "How will we do this in cooperation? I left some details, as you said before. He left some stuff behind for like Kenshin to catch on." He says like he's probably already caught on by now. So if I leave a letter for him to meet me somewhere, you can finish the job. Akamatsu agrees, but he doesn't like it regardless. As he's saying like, why would you do this when you've already claimed that Kenshin is your arch nemesis? He says that like, I don't really care that much. I just told him that there, I guess, to sell the idea. And again, like I can't read him, and that's like not good. I'm actually kind of curious, why does Akamatsu have these like he was cut and he had his like mouth stitched together, and apparently his eyebrow or his forehead stitched. I wonder what happened to him.
I think they're trying to say that he's a veteran because he calls the other guy treats the other guy like he's a rookie, maybe. So I think they're trying to emphasize that like this guy's been through a lot of stuff, and I also think they're drawing him that way just to make him look cool and like a little tiny bit demon-like.
I so serious. I was trying so hard not to make the connection to the smile on Joker on his face, but if they just put a little more makeup on him, he could probably pass off. I could see him. I guess they're trying to pass off as a veteran.
Are you reading something from the chat room?
No, what was happening there?
That's what I was trying to figure out because you were reading. It almost sounded like you were reading someone else's comments in the chat room.
No, I was trying to pick up some on the pick up some details from the episode. I'm just scanning it. But after that, Kenshin, after that's taken care of, and he agrees, he doesn't agree. They cut back to Kenshin, Yahiko. Kenshin's about to go off to meet the person because we see the letter. He already got the letter. Kenshin's about to go off, and then Yahiko catches him saying that Kara wants him to go get tofu. And he's like, sorry, I gotta go, and disappears. And he's like, all Yahiko can say is that, but tofu. It's basically what's going on there. And then Kenshin I guess shows up in the meeting place that was agreed upon. Kenshin yells out looking for Saito, only to be met with Akamatsu. Kenshin's like wondering, who the heck are you? They get into a fight. Kenshin dispatches him really quickly until he gets sidelined a little bit, by after he catches him off guard and he tries to apologize to Kenshin. Kenshin says like, well, let this be a lesson. As he turns around, he tricks him. Apparently he had 2 extra spares of that weapon in his sleeve, so he throws them out from his sleeves. Kenshin blocks one of them. The other one, he blocks it from choking him around his neck, apparently. Kenshin could see that was where he was going, which is kind of shocking, too. After that happens, he starts throwing Kenshin around because I guess he can't beat him fair and square. It's even more messed up. Again, I guess like this guy is a pretty dirty fighter.
It's kind of a foreshadowing of how the fight could go with it's kind of foreshadowing of how the fight could go with Saito too, because he's wondering, he's like, if with my commitment, with my weapon and my commitment to not kill, will I be able to beat Saito? And it's a very valid statement when you consider that like how things are going with this guy. I mean, he is so when he has his attention on him, he is so far ahead of him that he's just like, you should just give up. And he turns his back to him and everything because he's just so confident that he's got him beaten. And then his commitment not to kill, if he was a killer, he would have killed him and then that would have been it and he wouldn't be in this situation. So what is the situation going to be like when he's fighting Saito?
I guess I could do a little bit on this whole not commitment to kill thing. I gotta say, like, this kind of reminds me of like just superheroes in general. I know there's superheroes, they're the good guys because they don't kill. It's kind of like Batman or Superman, but it's like it's really easy to see that their problems could easily be solved if they were to just kill them. But they don't do it out of principle. But like it frustrates me so much because it's like you got people like Batman and Joker. They're the most iconic one because at this point neither one of them can live without the other, and neither one of them want to. And we see we kind of see what comes of that in Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. If I can just like go there for a little bit. The Joker comes back after cloning himself or putting himself in someone else's body. He comes back and he's younger again. The Batman, Bruce Wayne, is not. He's older, and Bruce Wayne at this point has kind of moved on already at this point, but the Joker hasn't. And when he's met with Terry McGinnis and he keeps calling him Batfake, only to be beaten by this Batman. At near the end, he's like, "You're not Batman. You'll never be Batman." He's like freaking out on him at this point. It's like Joker can't like at this point it's written in the script that Joker can't live without Batman, and Batman can't live with the Joker. And there's been various situations where Batman could have easily killed him, but he didn't. Um, Same thing with Lex Luthor and like Superman. Like Lex Luthor can't live without Superman, and Superman can't live without him because Superman's got to fight something, and Lex Luthor's got to hate something. It's like these villains just like need each other for some strange reason.
Hmm.
But not in this case. It's like Kenshin wants to move on and he wants to be a better person, but unfortunately, he's realizing that his strength is being cut off from him not killing anybody. Um, and we got a little piece of his actual strength when he slips backwards a little bit during early in the season, where Kaoru gets in danger, and he just slips back into his old ways for a little bit. But it's amazing how easily he was able to slip back into it thanks to Kaoru being in danger, though. Um, but yeah, it's interesting that he does question whether does he have the ability to do this. But this is kind of something that I guess I can say this now. Like this is something that constantly does come up, and it's interesting nonetheless. I want to say how he solves these problems that he has with this guy Saito being the most dangerous he's ever come across so far up to this point. Speaking of Saito, after Kenshin is being thrown around like a rubber ball, we cut back to Yahiko, I guess, getting the tofu in a bowl of water. I'm guessing is how they keep the tofu from hardening. Um, so we see Saito in his usual police garb, like being creepy around Yahiko, and we see him coming from a corner as Yahiko's walking back home, and he looks at him. And I believe that's actually in the yeah. He just looks up, and that's the end of the episode.
So the
Uh
goal of sending that guy over there, because you wonder what that guy is doing, like why he sent Akamatsu over. But if you think about it, like he knows where Kenshin is for sure. Is he going to go back and then like attack Yahiko or someone else and like get Kenshin more like shaken up emotionally? Like, is he doing like a psychological war here?
yes and no. I want to say that you know how Jin wanted to fight Kenshin as the manslayer.
Hmm.
There's a high possibility that's what he wants. He wants Kenshin to be in his old mindset as they fight again. Because Kenshin does bring in the fact that talking about like back at the dojo, talking about like how skilled of a person he was back in the day. He also mentions that like his swordplay hasn't gotten weaker at all. Like he's still at his peak swordsmanship. So like to me, it's like okay, a person that strong, as you already see right now. I mean, yeah, Kenshin like he dispatched Sonosuke really quickly, but as you already know, that's not really an easy feat to like knock Sonosuke off his feet and then power drive him into the wall and knock him out for good. That takes like a certain amount of strength that as we see, most people don't have the ability to do. Even the strongest brawler wasn't able to knock Sonosuke off and out permanently. But he was able to do that to Sonosuke really easily with a weak, as Spearhead has so beautifully pointed out, a weak ass sword.
You're so happy I said that.
It knocks him off his feet, sends him to the wall, and just knocks him out. He's like KO. He's down. Like he doesn't get back up. So it's like it's possible that this is just psychological warfare. But I think maybe he wants Kenshin to be in a certain mindset, like because he even brings up that he knows that Saito brings up that Kenshin is no longer the manslayer. He is the Rurouni, and he's wondering why he did that. So it does bring up like maybe he wants Kenshin to go back to his old ways for some strange reason, and he wants to fight him then, and he knows that he can get him to do that by attacking the people that are close to him. Because by this point, Kenshin has lived quite a long time with these people, so they matter to him. It's quite costly. He's probably gonna attack Yahiko and then kidnap Kaoru, leave him a Gumi there, possibly. Because Kenshin's gonna get out of that like fight that he's with that Akamatsu real quick. I guess next episode, and he's gonna come back home like beaten a little bit because he let his guard down. I mean, overall, yes, this is a psychological warfare, but possibly he wants Kenshin to slip again, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be amazing if he like one by one started picking people off and like making Kenshin feel like it was his fault? Like he takes out this guy and he comes back and the other guy's taken one of his guys in the meantime. And Kenshin has to blame himself for not being there to protect them.
I mean, I think that's the entire thing, though. I think he wants him to. I think when Kenshin probably will blame himself, but that will probably have Kenshin slip back in his old ways, possibly. But we've seen him do it once, so it's quite possible he'll do it again.
I don't think he's interested in making Kenshin slip into his old ways, though.
He wants to fight him, though, and he's doing all this to get his attention.
Yeah. And I think he's trying to weaken him, not strengthen him.
I don't know how this will weaken Kenshin, because you see how Kenshin gets when like people he cares about get hurt.
The other guy might not realize that. Does he even know that Kenshin won't kill?
I would think he would. I mean, because like Jin knew that, and half the reason why Jin did what he did was to get Kenshin to revert back to the point where he would kill. To me, it just seems like this just a repeated situation, but this time not just attacking, not kidnapping. He's gonna physically attack the people around him because he's already attacked Sanosuke, who was already there, and it's possible. And I believe that he knew the Kenshin was gonna be there, which is half the reason why he went there in the first place. I think he played off with that employer that he was like, "Oh, I was going down to dojo to see if he was there. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be there, but when I got there, he wasn't." I believe that he might have been toying around. Again, I think this is psychological warfare, but it's like on a grander scale. Like he wants Kenshin to feel helpless. I'm guessing that's what he's after. You know, but he said before he may not know this is not gonna work or whatever. But he's definitely after something because he's eyeing Yahiko like a piece of meat.
If
Like
I do this, if I predict this even farther, that, like I said, I predict that this is the final storyline. If there's 2 episodes left after this, this is the final storyline. They're not going to try to do a 1 episode of like another bad guy. So if that's true, and he starts targeting everybody at the dojo, which is the 3 people I know, but still, his little mini family that he's come across, then the most Kenshin thing to do after all that would be what Goku did, which is leave. You know what I mean? And because he's the one that's attracting all the bad guys, and the people at the dojo are the ones paying for it.
there is a season 2 coming up. This isn't the end of the show. And I tell you
There's a
that's what
season.
you're insinuating, but I just want to say there is a season 2 coming.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that's what you're insinuating. I'm not sure what you were insinuating with that statement.
There would be a good way for Kenshin to decide to leave. That's all.
I wouldn't put it past him to leave. I mean, he might just leave after everything's taken care of, and after everything happened at dojo, just to go after Saito. I don't suspect that Sanosuke is gonna let him do that though, half healed or not. And neither Yahiko too, if Yahiko's able to stand. That's kind of interesting that he went after Sanosuke first versus Yahiko. Does he think that Yahiko's more of a threat?
When he got there, Sanosuke was the only one there. I don't know if it was on purpose. Sanosuke picked a fight with him. He threw the first blow, and he like turned his words into a challenge against him and said, "Yeah, I'll fight you."
But
I
no,
think so.
didn't he pull out his sword first?
Um, I thought he pulled. Yeah, you're right. He pulled his sword out and then he got punched in the face.
It's like rewatching the situation real quick. He pulls out the medicine. Oh no, that's real medicine actually.
Probably not.
Like I don't really care, but you have really narrow eyes. It's like that's the eyes I was born with. I'm trying to figure like it's like after he's coming to comment his eyes, like someone's gonna like rushes at him and grabs his arm, pulls it over, and you see the calluses on there. He makes a comment of like, "Who are you? This is not. These are calluses of a person who's used bamboo swords."
And he's like, "Clever girl," and then they get in a big fight.
Zelensky backs off after he opens his eyes. He says Battlesai is not home. Maybe he did come here expecting him to be here. Okay. I guess he did come here thinking he was gonna be there. So him not
But look,
being there was not a part of the
the box
plan.
is open on the ground,
Hmm?
and the box is open on the ground as he's lifting up his sword, like with the lid off, and it looks empty to me.
Was the night empty later?
I don't know, but it's empty. It looks like you said you wondered if he had any medicine to actually sell. It looks like it's an empty box.
I was talking about that that medicine he had in his hand that he was selling, or quote unquote selling. Was that real medicine? But huh.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's the one that pulls out the sword first. He's like, he says that I'm gonna give a parting gift, and he pulls out the sword. So yeah, I guess like he came here looking for Kenshin, and Kenshin wasn't here, so like, he made a plan B, which is to put the sword inside. So he's a left arm, left shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, episode ends pretty much with Saito looking at Yaku's going home with the tofu. I feel kind of bad because like Yaku's walking home doing his doing his chore, and then he's gonna get attacked, or maybe he's just gonna like follow him in the distance.
Maybe he just really likes tofu.
It'd be really interesting if like Yaku's just walking and he's like following him in the distance in the shadow, and then Yaku puts like the tofu down someplace. It's like, how long are you gonna keep on following me, creep? Like that'd be kind of funny. Like Yaku can actually sense his presence. So you seem to this point, Yaku has has the talent. Literally, he like was seeing like the training paying it off. Yeah, but what you think about Saito up to this point?
Saito, I think they do a good job of making him very intimidating and calculating and mysterious. I feel like I don't understand fully his like motivations or um, how he plans on doing this. Like right down to the thing that we were having a conversation of, is he trying to make him stronger or weaker? You know what I mean? Like it's a very interesting and like duplicitous and kind of like complicated character already that they've created with very little screen time so far. So I'm enjoying that.
Speaking of that complicatedness, like I want to bring up too. We didn't talk about much of this because I didn't bring it up, but Kenshin, even though after Kenshin's talking about the past and whatnot, how this the Shinsengumi, he calls all the Shinsengumi like really good guys. Like he says he'd rather he finds himself more like in line with them than the Imperial's government that that he sees now. He says these people are good people, so the fact that that some of the people, the person, the group that he's calling good people, has this one outlier right now that's like hurt one of his friends at this point and put a hole in the wall. Secondly, uh, he's like concerned with what he is up to. Because Kenshin doesn't know exactly what he's up to. But he's concerned about him nonetheless, which is like, this is probably the most like guarded we've seen Kenshin up to this point of a foe that hasn't revealed themselves to him yet. It's like interesting, like, yeah, but he's so far like you don't know what he's up to. Even though technically speaking, I kind of know what he's up to. But I can't reveal those details because I am sworn to secrecy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's like, we don't know what he's up to yet. Still very excited for season 2. As I keep talking about.
When does season 2 come out?
Later this year, I think October. Yeah, it's set to premiere October 2024.
That's cool.
I'm not sure how many episodes the next season is, but I sure hope it's like the same amount. I also hope they don't stop at the freaking Kyoto disturbance, because I want to see beyond that. I'm looking at you, animators. Don't you dare stop after the Kyoto disturbance. I will find you. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do, but I will find you.
The anime does a good job of going up and down with intensity. Like, it's not slowly building intensity like most animes do, where like the authors would write themselves into a corner eventually. Like, Kenshin's enemies like are trending upwards, but like they're not always like the hardest enemy right off the bat. Like, they have episodes like the one we just saw, like where you like went to the past, and Kenshin was pretty much stronger than everybody, hands down. Stuff like that. Like, it's interesting that it's not building an intensity every episode. It just, when there is a big enemy, they seem to be a little bit tougher than the previous big enemy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they do a lot of things really well here. I was reading something too about when you discovered that the Edo Tokyo thing. Apparently they were purposely using the word Tokyo here, even though I think specifically they are supposed to be in Edo. But they're using it because I think it's a lot easier for people to know what that place is they're living at.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things that they're trying to like make modern, but also keep the original, flair to the show. Again, I will say this show really does a good job. And as far as I know, there aren't any actual transformations in this show, period. So any like insane upping in power is like done in a way of like Kenshin is. They're doing, so far I can tell what they're doing right now is they're saying that Kenshin's gonna get stronger, but it's really just gonna be him like gaining access to power probably that he hasn't used in a couple of years since his Manslayer days. Which you see that back when he was doing the Manslayer stuff, he was like really unbeatable even at that point. He's still unbeatable now, kind of, but like right now he's been like nerfed in a way that's like like as he gets more and more used to fighting again, maybe we'll see new techniques that we haven't seen him do yet. But yeah, this is an interesting episode. The next episode's called Fang of the Wolf, so we'll see what that is. But unfortunately, as I had to reiterate here, there will be a 1 week break. I am blaming you, Sphere.
I'm sorry.
But I mean, we gotta milk this for the view. I mean,
I'm going to visit my friend.
I know. And it's like we're not milking this for the views. I couldn't make a transition out of that if I wanted to. But I guess we'll end here. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys next time, because it really won't matter, because there won't be a break in the release of these things, because this will probably be released on the week that we come back. So see you guys then, and thank you for the views on YouTube, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.